those are tough acts to follow. Before I start, I want to share with you how serendipity works. I'm thinking, well, how am I going to talk about collaboration? How am I going to talk about story? Where does it fit together? And into my life in the last 2 nights, magic happened. And we talk about people out there doing it. Oh boy, they are. 2 nights ago, I had Muhammad Yunus at my home. Muhammad Yunus won the Nobel Peace Prize for microfinance, and this week won the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and among a million other awards. And he said to me, now I deal with storytelling. I teach at UCLA full out, and he said, I'm not a storyteller, so what will I do? And I said, well, just get up there and talk about what you're doing and the mission and so forth. And what do you think he did? He told story after story. He didn't see himself as a storyteller. He saw himself as a giver, a provocateur. And I realized, wow, that's interesting. Here's a person, wired for success, wildly involved with the world, and his mission was through story. Then last night, we taught at UCLA, one of my courses at the business school, we had Patrick Soon-Shiong. I don't know how many people know who that is. He's one of the wealthiest men in California, on Abraxas. He sold the last 3 companies for $5, $3, and $7 billion. And his mission? Completely redo healthcare in America. He's not Obama, he's not anybody else. He's on a mission. Social business, good business. His view? I'm not a storyteller. Stood in front of the class. The 2 things they most remember, this whole class of 120 MBAs, what do you remember? Not the facts, not the figures, not the numbers, not even the problem. They reveled in his stories about the dream. Nestled in those stories was the information, the data, the decks, and the PowerPoints that became resonant, memorable, and actionable. And that's the lead into what I want to talk to you tonight. The secret to collaboration, the secret to that successful collaboration. One of the things that's really important when you want to get people to work with you, when you absolutely most have to have them work with you, all this technology, and I do it every day in my companies, all this technology, when it really has to be done, can never replace in the room, face to face, telling the story, breathing the same air, touching them. Nothing. Arianna Huffington, one of the leaders in the new technology media, said exactly that. So when you really want somebody to collaborate with them, you can tweet all you want. But when you press the flesh, breathe the same air, look in the eyes, connect on that human level, you are tapping back to 40,000 years of storytelling. You're all storytellers. We're all storytellers. Anybody likes a movie or book or play, you're a story listener. And they're just as important. You know, this talk that I thought I'd do tonight to try to make it purposeful was to take you through how I discovered that for myself. You say, well, how did you discover it? 40 years of making movies, television, running these companies. What do you mean you didn't discover? Well, I didn't discover it until the 3rd act of my life. So my mission is to ignite or kindle that opportunity and that vision, those tools for people that are, like yourself, on the mission of a big task. When I was in the 70s, I was curious about these earliest technologies. The President of Columbia pictures a very young pup. And all these new technologies were coming out which were capturing digital, they were digital, they were magnetic media. Television, movies, time sharing, flipping the content, packaged media. And Columbia Pictures is a huge company. And I was a little bit lost in it. I was a young guy, 28 or 29, running the company. And, I didn't know what to do. But 2 years earlier, I had offered the company the opportunity to be the leadership of this whole new technology. Frank Stanton had done Pop Division, Peter Goldmark had a CBS, had done EVR, there was magnetic recording, Sony had come out with the U-Matic. And what do you think Columbia Pictures did? They licensed their entire library, gave the entire library to another company, so that they built the whole video empire off of Sony's 3,000 library feature titles and thousands of hours of television. What happened when I raised the issue we should do it, and they wrote about it? They said, you're antagonistic, so we're the incumbent. We're the incumbent. No one can beat us. No one can overcome us. We'll just take these pennies. They had a big cake they served. They said, congratulations. And I licked my finger for the cake and I thought, it's commiserations, and surely it was. Because I thought this new technology could collaborate distributors, exhibitors, audience, packages, would say they could challenge it. They didn't want to collaborate with those people. They looked at me as antagonistic. And what happened? Those executives got fired. I barely survived. And the company lost its most valuable income. What was the reason they did it? Why didn't they collaborate? Why didn't they co-join? Why did they even examine? One word. Fear. F-E-A-R. Now, I gave them a lot of facts, a lot of numbers, a lot of figures. But I didn't give them a compelling story. I didn't really talk to the heart. I didn't emotionalize the offering. And that's when I began to think that I can overcome somebody's uncertainty, which is where fear is born, just by giving them facts, figures, and PowerPoints and decks. I had to find a way to connect emotionally. So I began seeking the magic. And I found that promise in my third act of my life through an act of discovery, looking back all through my life at the people that I met, and found out something really interesting. We're hardwired as storytellers, as I said, 40,000 years. If we weren't, our ancestors would have been eaten and we wouldn't be here because we had to work together. What storytelling did was embed those facts and information, which is so important, in a narrative to emotionalize it, because that's who we are. We're emotional creatures. That's how we survive. We organize through that. Climb from the bottom of the food chain to the top of the food chain. From prey to predator. Maybe that's not so good, but the truth is, that's how we're wired. You don't want that to become vestigial. You want to organize yourself to utilize that resource. So the magic is about making emotional connections, not passing information. It makes the information inside actually resonant and memorable. You don't remember the decks of information. As a CEO of many large companies, they were bringing these big decks. I looked at them, they were an anathema to me. I had all the educational background. I wanted to hear what the person felt. I wanted to hear what they were going to put their soul into it. I wanted to hear why they were going to take the risk. So this is the key, to look at yourself in the emotional transportation business, not in the information dispersal business. So the idea for me was to look at what would the skill set in the third act of my life, with all the background that I had, how could I bring this tool to people like yourself who are going to do the important things in the world? How could I turn this tool from making movies and television shows and videos and mobile material and sports entertainment? How can I take this seminal tool and integrate it into people for more purposeful results? So I looked, how do you simplify it? How do you organize it? And I came up with, for me, that was the problem. The promise was the magic, and the process, as Keith would like to say, he coached me a lot on this, the process was magic. Story is magic. It moves mountains. We elect presidents from stories. We watch quarterbacks who have stories. That's what we do. So what is magic? It stands for motivating your audience to your goal interactively with great content. And like a hand working together is magic, but any one finger can do something. Can send a message, can tap somebody hello, can do anything. But taken together, it's magic. So I'm going to propose to you the elements of that, so just so you can think about it. And just remember, any one of them can be a game changer, not all of them. And all you have to do is start with one and see how it works, and see how much better your process will be. You do not have to be Robert Frost. You do not have to be Steve Jobs. You just have to do your job 10, 15, 20, 30%, 50% better by being able to narrate your offer. And also understands the story listener, whether the person who's selling you the problem and the promise and the process is a good teller. And motivate. Everyone thinks motivate. I'm going to motivate you. Yeah, right. If you have kids, you'll understand how hard that is. If you have wives, you understand how hard it is. If you have husbands, it's very hard. It's the wrong way to look at it. It's intention before attention. How are you motivated? What story are you telling yourself? What state are you in? So you're going to come in and present your project, your big task to other people, ask them to collaborate. Before you do, find out what your story is and own it. Because you know why? The second you walk in that room,